Think about this for a moment. You work hard. You save your money. You decide you want to see another part of the world. You buy your ticket. Pack your bags. Head to the airport. But before another country allows you in, you normally need this little booklet. Your passport. Depending on which passport you hold, traveling around the world can be relatively easy or incredibly difficult. But have you ever wondered why we need passports in the first place? And so, this brings me to our topic today, which is, why do passports exist? And what if we abolish them? Have that question ever crossed your mind? Because I've always wondered, why do we have to use passports at every instance? Why do we have to be stamped in and stamped out, even if you are living in your own country? So who decided that human beings needed documents to move from one country to another? Who made the decision? And here's an even bigger question. What would happen if we abolish passports tomorrow? What's going to happen? Welcome to the Thinking Table. And this is what we're going to deliberate on. So today, passport feels completely normal. Your photograph, your name, your nationality, your date of birth, and increasingly, biometric information stored electronically. We accept all of this because it is the world we are born into. But for much of human history, the modern passport system, as we know it, simply didn't exist. People certainly faced borders, checkpoints, and restrictions. Various rulers also issued letters of safe passage and other travel documents. That's in the past. But the globally standardized passport system we are familiar with today is largely a 20th century development. Here is where the story becomes interesting. Before First World War, international travel in parts of the world could be considerably less bureaucratic than it is today. Then came World War. Governments became much more concerned about exactly who was entering and leaving their territories. Security, espionage, military movements, immigration, identities. All of these were on the top priority for each and every government at the time after World War II. The First World War dramatically expanded the use of passport and border controls, and many of those controls remained after the fighting ended. In 1920, the League of Nations held an international conference on passports. Interestingly, governments were discussing ways of reducing barriers to international travel. But instead of passport disappearing from that conversation, international standards began emerging for what this document should look like. Over time, the little booklets became an increasingly normal part of crossing international borders. Today, international standards for machine-readable travel documents are maintained through the International Civil Aviation Organization. So something introduced and expanded partly because government wanted greater control over movement in just few decades ago, became an ordinary object carried about by billions of travelers today across the world. It was not originally supposed to look like this. Now, this is where I want to bring you into the conversation. Think about the passport you hold, the one you carry around. to travel around the world, regardless of where you're watching this from. Could be Britain, Nigeria, India, France, America, Kenya, Ghana, Pakistan, Brazil, or somewhere completely different that I have not mentioned. That little document doesn't merely tell the world your name. It tells the world which country recognizes you as one of its citizens. And the passport you happen to possess can have a significant effect on where you can easily travel to. None of us choose where we were born. Yet, that accident in quotes of where we were born can influence how freely we move around the planet. And that raises an uncomfortable but fascinating question. Should your nationality determine how easily you are allowed to explore the world? Now imagine something radical. Say tomorrow morning, every country in the world announces passports are abolished. What will happen? At first, it sounds wonderful, right? You want to visit France, you want to visit USA, you want to visit Mexico, South America, any country in the South Americas, you want to visit any country in Africa, Asia, go. You want to visit Japan, go. Is it Brazil? Go. Buy your ticket, perhaps tourism will explode across the world, who knows? Families separated by immigration restrictions can visit one another more easily. Workers have greater freedom to seek opportunities across the world. The world suddenly feels much smaller, because people can move around easily. But then comes the difficult question. How would countries identify people entering their territory? How would they distinguish tourists from people intending to settle permanently? How would immigration laws work? What about international criminals? What about national security if crimes are not stopped at the border? And here's another complication, A world without passports doesn't necessarily mean a world without borders. The borders will still be there. The language differences from each territories will still be there. The identity of people who live in that particular space will still be there. Countries could simply replace passport with another identification system, say digital identity or biometric facial recognition, like it is in Dubai now. And suddenly, we've abolished the little booklet, but perhaps created something even more powerful in its place. So maybe the real question isn't whether passports should exist. Maybe it's how much control should government have over the movement of people. International borders aren't an abstract idea to me. Like millions of other immigrants in different parts of the world, I have personally experienced what it means to present documents, prove your identity, satisfy immigration requirements before you are being allowed to live in another country. Your own experience may be completely different. Perhaps you've never left your country before. You travel regularly, all the time. Your passport allows you to visit countries relatively easily. Or probably somewhere you desperately want to visit requires months of paperwork and uncertainty. That's why this isn't just a story about passports. It's a story about freedom, borders, nationality, and belonging. So let me leave you with today's question. If passport disappeared tomorrow, or say today? Will the world become freer or more chaotic? I want to hear your experience. Which country's passport do you travel with? Has having that passport which you hold right now ever made traveling easier or more difficult for you? And if you could redesign the international travel system from scratch, would you keep passports? Would you abolish it? Which one is it you think is best for humanity? Or would you create something completely different? Maybe something better than what we have now. Let us know in the comment section. Because sometimes the most ordinary objects, like a simple passport that we carry about, can raise the biggest questions. And every important question deserves a seat at the table. Sit, think, decide. This is the thinking table. I want to thank you for your time.